And so the Apostle Paul has just told us in the first 6 verses of the 7th chapter that we have died to the sinful passion because we're no longer under the letter of the law. One might say, I have died to having to earn my salvation. You know, I think one of the greatest reassurances is that we have been freed to try. Under the law, you had to keep it. If you didn't keep it, you had a problem. Under grace, we're free to try. How many things would you never do if your fear of failing was running rampant? I don't have to earn my salvation. I accept my salvation. What shall we say then? This law, this requirement, this letter that exposed sin, is the law itself sin? No, may it never be. On the contrary, I would not have come to know sin except through the law. For I would not have known about coveting if the law had not said, you shall not covet. I kind of feel sorry for Christians that don't ever study the Old Testament. If you want to understand the character of God, you've got to go back to the Old Testament. Otherwise, you don't get a full picture of the character of God. You got to look and see how he dealt with his people, how he lived in a covenant relationship with them, striving to keep them in that covenant relationship. One of the ways he did it was the law. Law wasn't sin, the law exposed sin. It wasn't a matter that if you know better, you have the responsibility to do better, although that's true. It was a matter that if you don't know better, how are you going to be redeemed? One of the problems we have in our world today is that the world tells us we're perfect and we don't have to worry about being imperfect. The scriptures tell us we're imperfect and we need help to be perfect. But the law exposed our imperfections. Now, once you see your imperfections, you have a problem. Apostle Paul, relating this to sin, says, but sin, taking opportunity through the commandment, produced in me coveting of every kind, for apart from the law, sin is dead. Now that I know it's wrong, and I know I'm not supposed to be doing it, it becomes a problem. Once, I lived apart from the law. I didn't know sin was sin. But the commandment came, sin came alive, and I died. And the commandment which was to result in life moved to result in death for me. The purpose of the rule was so we wouldn't fracture the relationship. And yet, because of the fallen nature of man, not because of the perfection of God, but because of the fallen nature of man, the rule caused us to want to break it. Man has a pride in being a rebel. Everybody wants to think outside of the box. Well, you know, sometimes you ought to stay in the box. And then there are those that want to be in charge. Well, God says, I'm giving you rules so you know how you're supposed to act. But yet, those rules sometimes cause us problems. For sin takes an opportunity through the commandment, deceived me, and through it killed me. So then the law is holy, and the commandment is holy and righteous and good. But there's these passions alive inside of me because of the fall. There's these lusts for the flesh because of the fall. Yet the law says, if I want a relationship with God, I've got to die to that. But I can't. I don't have the ability. And yet the law prepared the way for Jesus to come. And Jesus was going to say, take my hand, and I'll walk you through the law. Have you ever been on a diet? I've been on more diets in my life than I care to remember. And I believe that on the day the Lord calls me home, I will most likely be coming off of a diet or going on to a diet or trying to figure out whether I really want to lose the weight or not. The hardest time to resist chocolate cake is when you're on a diet. And yet you know it's not good for you. That's what the law did. But God come along and said, I'll send Jesus to go on the diet with you. To encourage you, to comfort you, and to make the sacrifice so that you could succeed.